Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of SnowRunner, where you join me today in the Royal BM again, but with a different trailer. This is the double log carrying trailer, and as you can see in the top right, we are doing the contract for GR Enterprises called It's a Long Way to the Top. So we need to deliver to the sawmill in Mountain River, but we need to take it from another area. So we are still in White Valley, as we were in the last couple of episodes, but this time we are on our way out of this region, and I've never used this trailer before. It seems a little bit unstable, but it should be absolutely fine. This gives us the capacity to take both of the medium logs required for this contract, so I am certainly not going to complain at this whatsoever. The long logs, on the other hand, that is a different story. To my knowledge, there isn't a way of taking more than one long logs at a time. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong with that, because if there is a way, then I very much would like to know what it is and exploit every single bit out of it. But this seems like a fun and interesting trailer to use for this task. There's a few logging contracts to do this week. This one is just the first one because, pure and simple, it was the top of the list of contracts, and I felt like using the Taiga, which of course is set up to take long logs, is actually parked nearby. But with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly trundle my way up this icy hill. Hope that the Royal BM has the grunt to pull such a large heavy trailer up an icy hill, and I will bring you guys back once we get over to Mountain Valley, and we'll get this first half of the contract done in one go. So I'll see you guys on the other side of the tunnel. Okay, here we are, starting the engine after travelling through the tunnel, and luckily we are basically next to where we're dropping these off. It's literally at the bottom of this hill, but I'm a little bit nervous about coming down this hill, because the last time I came down this hill in this truck, I did a sweet barrel roll. The trailer's not too keen on this hill either. Let's avoid any barrel rolls this time, because I don't really want to pick the logs up, and we don't actually have a truck set up to help in that situation. But this should be a nice, easy, simple logging job. The biggest part of it is going to be the long logs, but like I mentioned before, the Taiga is parked just on the other side of the tunnel. Actually, you'll have seen in the thumbnail it was parked up to take a pretty screenshot, and we have one set of long logs already loaded onto it, so we only need to go and really get another one. There is the medium logs delivered, half the contract done, all within 5 minutes as such. We'll just move the Royal BM and its old baby trailer out of the way. We'll stop the engine and let's go over to White Valley where we want the Taiga. It's just here. There's a lovely splash screen. I do really like this splash screen. That's a very well taken screenshot from the developers for this one. And luckily the loading time in this game is not bad at all. Here is the Taiga with its first set of long logs just round the corner from the tunnel. So basically the exact same thing again, this time with a different truck, different trailer and different cargo. We'll go through the tunnel, drop these off, and then we need to work out where we're getting the next set of long logs from. If we're coming back here or if we're going somewhere else. I personally wouldn't be opposed to going somewhere else. I do really like White Valley, but I've been in it quite a bit recently, so a bit of new scenery certainly would not go amiss. So just like before, down the hill. We don't have chains on the tyres for the Taiga. We're not at the level requirement to unlock them yet, so this hill is a bit sketchy with this truck. Unlike the Royal BM with its chains on its tires, it's like it's not icy at all. As you can see with this truck, that's not the case. With the weight of the logs behind us pushing us around, not really what we want to see. But just like that, we have made it to the bottom, all without any major incident. A little bit slidey, a little bit bitey, but we got here in the end, and this is unfortunately only one of the 2 long logs that we have here. So we have a look at the contract. It's a long way to the top, long logs. It's telling us to go to Northport, which, yeah, okay, let's go to Northport. It's a bit of a drive away, but that's fine. This episode would be very short if it was local. Of course, you do always have the option to go back to White Valley and get them from there. The long logs come from the sawmill that's down by the town near the airdrome. We're just going to turn this into a bit of a loop. This does unfortunately mean going past that particular corner that I almost crash at every time, as well as the corner just up here that I do crash at pretty much every time. But not to worry, we're empty, so shouldn't be too difficult even if we do leave the road, as long as we don't leave the road at the top of the hill. As long as we make it to the top of the hill in the first place as well, that would also be a good thing. Again, with these barriers that I'm adamant should despawn, but they keep respawning every time I load the game, and it is absolutely a pet hate of mine. But there's not really an awful lot I can do about that. Not even without snow chains on the tires. Look at this thing go. What hill? It has more trouble getting around the corner at the top than it does actually climbing the relatively steep hill. Do very much like this truck. If it had snow chains, it would be absolutely unbeatable. But like I said, we're just not at the level requirement. I think the level requirement is level 14. But don't hold me to that, because it could be 17. Something's telling me it's also 17, but that could be for another one of the trucks. It's been a little while since this truck has actually been in the garage for me to check. But we'll just head straight along this road now to White Valley, and then we'll find out where exactly the sawmill is for long logs. That's a problem. Yeah, it's okay. As far as I can tell, the trailers can't get damaged. They can just fall over. Back in Northport. Now let's have a look here where the long logs come from. That shouldn't be too difficult to get to. I will make my way down to the garage on my way to this one, because I think I pass a gas station on the way, and I wouldn't be opposed to getting some of that in the truck. Don't need it quite yet, but I'd rather have more than I need than not enough. What I'll do is I'll do a little quick jump cut here, and I'll see you guys when we get to the sawmill. Okay, here we are at the sawmill in Northport, and I stopped in by the garage and got some chains on the tires. It is in fact level 14 that the chains for the tires unlock for the Taiga, so we now have them installed, and what an immediate difference that has made. That is so much better. This very well may become the daily truck again. Not that there's many days left of driving around in Alaska, so there is that to consider, I guess. Let's have a quick look at the map here. There's a couple of choices. We can go out this way. I don't actually know what this is. I've never been here. No idea what that is. We could go all the way around the top. We're basically in the middle of the map, so I think what I'll do is I'll actually head down this road, which takes us back out over here, and then up that way, and then across. It's a long way for a shortcut. There is no easy, quick route back, unless we go back the exact same way that we came, but I feel like going a different way and really putting these new tyres to the test. And it also means we go past a gas station. We did refuel when we got to the garage, but as a general rule of thumb in this game, if you're going past a gas station, you should probably go in and get some fuel while you're there. I keep calling it gas. The game refers to it as fuel. I imagine with these trucks it's going to be diesel, but it's just become a bit of an unusual habit to call it gas. Let's swing round this way. This mission is called, well, the contract is called It's a Long Way to the Top, and I think it was in reference to the long logs, because it's a long way to take long logs. Here's the gas station just on the left here, so we'll stop in by there and get the 50 odd litres that we're needing to top the tank off. Straight back out on the road, and let's see, we want to go through the puddle and then turn right. I happen to know that that road is a bit challenging, and I've never tried it with such a long vehicle that I can remember, so we'll see how we get on. We do have an extended winch on this truck. The other thing I got is we now have a spare wheel. Very, very important piece of kit. I would like all of my trucks to have their own spare wheels on them, because you never know when you're going to burst a tyre. So the Taiga now has one, and I think it's the only one that has one currently, other than maybe the Hummer, I believe, might have one. But I'm very pleased with those purchases. We spent a little bit of money, but that's okay. Struggling to pick a gear to be in by the seams of it, but long logs, as you can imagine, they're going to be heavy, so maybe a gearbox and an engine upgrade wouldn't go amiss with this truck. Those are all things that we can work towards, because if we do decide that after all the contracts are done to move on to another region, I think I'm going to take the trucks with me. I did toy with the idea of not doing that, but I've grown quite attached to my trucks. Of course, a different region does mean different trucks to discover and purchase, so we will naturally be getting them and using them, but I don't have trucks lying around anywhere that I don't currently use. That's rather tight. See if we can unwedge yourself here. It would appear like we can't. We are thoroughly wedged in. Let's see if I can pull onto that tree over there. Alright, that's a little bit of progress. This way may have been a mistake. We just don't quite fit. Okay, many hours later, we're unstuck now. That took a great deal of fuel and a great deal of patience, but we cannot go that way. We do not fit through those rocks, so next road up, take this road instead. Lesson learned. If the road looks too narrow, it almost definitely is. That was a lot of finagling. I ended up having to come out of that backwards. I was completely wedged in between two rocks. I even tried tactics like unloading the cargo and things like that, dropping the trailer. Didn't move enough for the cargo to not immediately go back where it was supposed to be. So we did manage to get out in the end though. So progress is back to being made immediately into the muddy road, which I didn't particularly want to go this way because of this section of the road, but we'll see how we get on. It's definitely not going to be any worse than what we have just dealt with. That was torturous. It's actually the next in-game day, and I was sitting there for about 20 minutes or so trying to winch myself out. Although we're going slowly, this is an awful lot quicker than sitting still. I think this is the worst part of this particular road as well, is going through this bit of mud. It's quite a deep little river we're driving through. And I also changed the front bumper on this truck as well. Went for the hinged front bumper, which I don't know if it's necessarily any better looking than what we had, but it is different, and I'm not opposed to a change every now and again. See if we can pull ourselves out of some of this. We do have logs to try and deal with in front of us here. Slow and steady, and we will get there in the end. This contract, I have no idea how much this contract is worth. Hopefully a decent amount. I'll be happy if it at least pays for the chains on the tyres. All the extra stuff we got for the truck is just that, it's just extras. The chains are definitely a lifesaver. Without the chains I would have had to respawn at the garage and tried that all over again, which would have given the issue of a trailer lying in the middle of a road. We're just stuck just literally around that corner over there. But now we're here. Let's avoid any more really narrow sections where we can. And where we can't, let's try and brute force our way over the rocks rather than between them. But we've got diff lock, we've got all-wheel drive, we've got snow chains. In theory, nothing should stop us at this point. It's just a bit of a journey to go. We are going to be running a little bit tight on fuel, I think. I believe there might actually be a gas station somewhere along the route. No, there isn't. There could be, but there isn't. Not to worry. If we run out of fuel, then we could do something a little bit different. Something I was actually planning on doing for Sunday's episode anyway was going and getting one of our scout vehicles with a scout fuel trailer and using that, because on Sunday's episode that is an enormous contract that's probably going to take the entire fleet of trucks we have to complete that contract. But this isn't Sunday's episode, this is Wednesday's episode. So let's see, to pull it around the corner, we want to turn off down this way when we get there, and this way when we get there, and then across to there. Easy enough, in theory. This road is a little bit narrow too, but it shouldn't be as narrow as what we've just been stuck in. It's a bit muddy, and we do have to, I think there's a hairpin corner for us to navigate, but other than that, we should be absolutely laughing with this truck in its current configuration. If we could just pick a gear and stick to it. Here's the river we've got to go through. in a little bit of an iffy corner. The trailer got knocked around with that rock there, which makes my life an awful lot easier. And then we've got this little body section here. This shouldn't be any issues at all, provided we can make the corner and not just drive straight into that lake. Logs are dragging the ground behind us. Like I said, really easy contracts. Once you get to the point where your trucks are capable, contracts really don't pose you much of an issue at all. It's just time. That's all it really takes is time. This contract has taken probably the longest out of them all this week so far, by quite a significant margin, but that's mainly because we got stuck. If you don't get stuck, if you don't do what I do, then maybe about half an hour of your time to do this contract, unless you're using mod trucks, and then probably about 3.5 minutes, because mod trucks are basically cheating. Some of them are very well made and fit with the game, but some of them are a little bit cheaty and take absolutely all of the challenge out. Let's go ahead and turn the lights off, as it's now made it fully into daytime and it's a little bit bright with the snow. We should be okay for fuel. We've got a little bit less than half a tank remaining. We're not halfway there, but we did use a lot of fuel getting stuck in a rock. We've got an interesting bit to go here. I actually thought the truck cut out there. It's just the world's slowest gear change. It's a bit frustrating, the gear changes. It reminds me a little bit of Motortown. The gear changes on the automatic gearbox are an absolute pain when you're off-roading, but they have a button to stop you changing gear, and I don't think SnowRunner does, but I could be mistaken there. I'm certainly not an expert in this game. I have many hours in it, but I don't really pay attention to the details. I just play in the mud, or in the case of this series, in the snow. Digging lovely tracks through the snow there, almost all the way down to the mud by the looks of it. The waypoint is on the screen for the tunnel now, which is always a good sign. That means we're getting reasonably close. Got another river to traverse. Yeah. We're wedged in against our own logs here. Would appear like we are. There we are, problem solved. I think that issue was just the logs hitting the back of the cab and taking our traction away from the wheels. Quite a fast flowing river, this one. But like every other bit of terrain, it's not much of a challenge for the trucks that we have these days. Back out onto a more main style road. Should be relatively straightforward from here. Certainly when we get to the tunnel, we know it's going to be easy from there, because we've already done that particular road, and that was without chains on the tires. It's a big puddle to go through there. There's a trailer sitting over there. I imagine that's one of those side missions to rescue that trailer. Like I've mentioned in a few episodes now, if you're interested in seeing Alaska being completed 100%, let me know in the comments. Or is it that you'd rather just see me continuing the contracts but in another region? And for those of you who haven't been watching along with this series, at the end of this week, conveniently enough on Sunday, we will be completing the final contract for the main story quests. So if you want to see more Alaska, let me know by Sunday. Otherwise, I will look to move to a different region, sort of like a Season 2 sort of take, where we'll continue on from this season, but in a different area altogether. And I don't think the next one will be in the snow. I've seen quite a bit of snow. By the time Sunday's episode come out, that will be episode 40, and most of them have been in the snow. There's been a handful, like when we went to get the taiga, and the very first episode, those were not completely in snow, but since then, it's just been an awful lot of white powder on the ground. Double check we're going the right way. Yep, along here and then take a left, and that's us at the tunnel. We're a little bit low on fuel, but I think we'll be absolutely fine. It'll be close, but we can always take a detour past the gas station if we really need to. The gear changes are just costing fuel at this point. Fuel and time. Let's get these logs down to the sawmill and see what our reward is. I'll bring you guys back on the other side of the tunnel, which of course is just at the top of the hill there. Okay, 71 litres of fuel remain, and I think I'm just going to absolutely chance it and go straight to the sawmill. I think I'm going to see if I have enough fuel to make it. It would be just my luck if we ran out on the way to the sawmill, but if you don't try, you'll never succeed. Of course, we are going to need to put fuel in the truck anyway, because there is more logging contracts to do, but not today. That will be an issue for another day. There we go, we've now got the fuel showing up in the tanks in a red colour. That means we are running low. There's a gas station right there. Completely forgot that this gas station even existed. So there we are, that alleviates the issue altogether. Makes it full tank, and somehow the truck didn't get damaged in any of the shenanigans we've done on the way here. These logging contracts do tend to be worth a decent bit of money. Is it this one? No, it's the next one. Now with the snow chains, we don't need to worry about stopping on these hills because we have the traction to climb them no problem at all. Which is just amazing. Out of the two, between this and the Royal BM, I am still favouring the Royal BM, but I think that's just because I've had more time behind the wheel of that one with the snow chains than I have this one. And prefer the gearbox on the Royal BM personally. That could all be in my head, though the gearbox might be exactly the same in it than it is in this one. But I just like the Royal a bit more. Well, let me know in the comments, which one do you prefer between the Royal and the Taiga? They both have cool paint jobs. That's a problem. Let's not do that. Should definitely avoid drifting towards a giant boulder. even with the snow chains, this one still slides just a bit. So we are back at the sawmill. Finally, it's been almost an hour with all of the bits and pieces that's happened that I've cut out of this episode. But here we are, in place, and there we are, being promoted. We're now rank 15. We're $16,650. We are down to $110,700 because of all the money I spent on this truck during this episode, which is 10,000 less than we had in the last episode, but that's okay. We can manage just fine with that. And we also got 1,440 experience points for that contract. But with that being said, that is all I have time for in this episode. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, you can of course subscribe, and as always you can ring the bell notification as well, that way you get notified of all future uploads. And you can also join me over on Discord. The link to Discord is in the video description. It's also on the channel page. And once again, a big congratulations to our photo of the week August special winner. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode. Thank you all very kindly for watching. I'll see you all there. Bye for now.